straight from the heart of East Tennessee.
She was 7 years old, raped, sodomized, and strangled to death. I'm sorry, I feel nothing for his pain.
Billy Ray Irick was put to death.
Sort of jerked involuntarily forward a little bit, and I thought,
Agents found close to 100 workers with questionable immigration status.
Weren't doing absolutely anything wrong. They were trying to make a living for their children.
We have a disaster.
A signature collapse of a coalesce site.
Life for the homeless can be summed up in a word: complicated.
If you want to know just how big the housing problem is here, take a look around.
There's always a story behind the work.
Park workers recorded 60 inches of snow. That's 5 feet, as tall as me.
Tomorrow is a gift. Tomorrow is a gift.
A great experience on the course today.
This is good.
Drove 11 hours to get here for this.
For America's Got Talent. I don't think we're in Knoxville anymore.
WBIR 10 News starts now.
Weren't doing absolutely anything wrong. They were trying to make a living for their children. The children that are walking around here, that are waiting for their parents to come out.
Breaking tonight. Right now, more than 100 people are being detained by Homeland Security.
These people waited all day to learn about their friends and family, waiting to hear if their loved ones were some of the Latinos detained by Homeland Security earlier this morning from Southeastern Provisions meatpacking factory.
Just a lot of hardworking people, you know, a lot of families.
Right now, everything on our website is available in English and also in Spanish.
Hola, buenas noches. En Noticias de Última Hora sabemos más sobre la investigación de ICE en Tennessee.
10 News reporter Mark Salinger joins us live in nearby Hamlin County tonight outside a church serving as a gathering place for those families in limbo. Mark?
Yeah, Robin and John, these numbers amount to really another statistic again on the war against illegal immigration. But to understand these numbers, you have to talk to the families broken apart, the wives left without their husbands, and the children left without their parents. This is the sound of desperation. Of questions unanswered, lives forever changed.
I look up to him. There's many things I do is for him because he's ill and I just want to see him.
We don't know the name of this 13-year-old boy. He wouldn't tell us. He was born in America, but he's too scared ICE will come after his undocumented mother, just like they did his undocumented father.
I got home and I asked my mom if she knew about it, and she's like, yeah, they got your dad, and I was shocked.
¿Estás preocupado para tu esposo? Are you worried for your husband?
Sí, estoy muy preocupada.
Yes, she tells us. We don't know if they are going to take him, what they're going to do with him. This is the human toll of the war on illegal immigration. The raids come and go, sweeping up hundreds of people who are in the United States illegally. What they leave behind are broken families, unsure how they will make ends meet, in a country many call home. ¿Cuántos años lleváis en los Estados Unidos? How many years have you been here in America?
Él tiene aquí 14 años.
He came to America 14 years ago, she says. She came 20 years ago. She tells us her husband made just $6 an hour working at Southern Provisions. It was all paid in cash.
He provided for all of his 6 children.
Children play with donated toys on the floor of the church, unaware they may never see their loved ones again. Regardless of their immigration status, what everyone here in the church knows is that America may never feel like home again.
With all this going on, it doesn't feel like home anymore.
Billy Ray Irick has been on death row since 1986. So long, the public's memory of his crime has faded. 10 News reporter Jim Matheny takes us through the case with the victim's family to remember why the state plans to kill Billy Irick. A warning, this report includes graphic details of a violent crime.
It's the crocheted pillow that she and I made together. It was for her bed, now it stays on mine.
Kathy Jeffers falls asleep and wakes up with a heartwarming keepsake, a memory of her 7-year-old daughter, Paula Dyer, a little girl Kathy says many have forgotten, while her killer, Billy Ray Irick, is still alive with his name in the news, more than 3 decades after a jury sentenced him to die.
All you ever hear about is him, nothing about her. You know, what he did to her is the reason he's where he's at.
Paula Dyer was Kathy's second child. When Kathy and Kenny Jeffers got married in 1982, they already had several children.
We were kind of like the Brady Bunch.
Paula, the bright straight-A student, loved her big family of brothers and sisters.
Very outgoing and very friendly. She never met a stranger.
Kathy and Kenny Jeffers made ends meet by working odd hours, fixing trucks and feeding truckers.
Kenny was a diesel mechanic, and I was a waitress at Hageman's truck stop.
In 1983, they met Billy Irick, a dishwasher at the Dixie Plaza truck stop. Before long, Billy became a roommate who helped with the kids.
When our house caught fire, he actually saved 2 of the boys from the house. It was like part of the family. The house burned and everybody had to split up. I couldn't get a house big enough where he could stay with us.
Kathy and 5 of the children found a small rental house nearby on Exeter Avenue. Paula's personality quickly made a positive impression on the new neighbors.
There was this woman that lived next door to us. Paula picked flowers and walked over and introduced herself and said, "Can we be friends?" That was what she was like.
The night of April 15th, 1985, Kathy had to work the graveyard shift. Her regular babysitter couldn't stay with the children, so Billy Irick came over instead. But something about him that night made Kathy uncomfortable.
I just had a bad feeling. Something's just not quite like it should be, you know. But I didn't know what it was. So, you know, I stopped at a payphone and called Kenny and asked him to please get back there.
About an hour later, Kenny Jeffers got another call at the truck stop. This time from Billy Irick, who said, "Come home, Paula's not breathing, she won't wake up." When Kenny Jeffers got to the house, he found Paula unconscious on the floor with a pool of blood between her legs. Kenny rushed her to Children's Hospital, where doctors tried to revive Paula for 45 minutes, but she wasn't breathing. There was nothing they could do.
And I kind of went nuts. They finally let me go back there, and I kept trying to wake her up. Kept telling her, "Mommy's here, Mommy's here." And then that's when the chaplain came in and took me into the room to talk to me.
Doctors said the cause of death was asphyxiation. Billy Irick suffocated the life from the little broken body he brutally raped twice.
The 4 boys were in the house, and they heard her screaming, tried to get to her, and couldn't, because he had the bedroom door barricaded. And they still have nightmares. He took away something precious. He took a life.
Police found Irick the next afternoon, hiding beneath the Baxter Avenue Bridge on I-275. Officers said he immediately showed remorse and confessed in writing. Irick was behind bars, and the community rallied to help the Jeffers pay for a funeral they couldn't afford just 2 weeks after losing everything in a house fire. First graders at Beaumont Elementary School pitched in anything they could to help put their new classmate Paula to rest. People held car washes to raise money, and truckers delivered a load of support.
There was so much that everybody did.
The family was able to bury Paula, holding a popular toy she had wanted, a Cabbage Patch doll.
It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
A year and a half later, a jury convicted Irick of first-degree murder and 2 counts of aggravated rape. Defense attorneys tried to save him from the death penalty by pointing out he was institutionalized with mental illness when he was just 6 years old. But there was no sympathy for 27-year-old Billy Irick. The jury sentenced him to die in the electric chair.
I felt like it was deserved and that it was over, or would be. It's like it never ends. It's 30-something years ago, and it's still going on.
Since landing on death row in 1986, Irick's case has gone through every appeal from the High Court in Tennessee to the Supreme Court of the United States. Every time, the courts ruled his death sentence would stand. Every time, the courts determined he was mentally competent to pay the ultimate price for his crime. But every time, the broader issues of capital punishment postponed Irick's date with death.
My kids had to go through this. They had to live through it. And now my grandkids, her nieces and nephews, are having to live through it too. The suffering don't stop. It just doesn't stop. I'm sick of hearing about his pain and his suffering. This one doctor says his so-called panic attacks if he's given this injection. She was 7 years old, raped, sodomized, and strangled to death. I'm sorry, I feel nothing for his panic attacks or his pain. Nothing at all. God forgive me, but I don't. I don't.
Kathy Jeffers says if and when Irick is finally executed, it may not end her family's suffering, but she wants closure, and she wants people to remember why Billy Irick is on death row. Remembering why means remembering Paula K. Dyer.
I don't think she can rest in peace until this is resolved. And Paula needs to rest in peace.
In Knox County, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.
Seeing dangerous chemicals in this creek takes much more than a well-trained eye, but scientists here at Oak Ridge are trying to find what's in here and remove it.
You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. But if mercury levels in our water get too high, you can feel the effects.
Mercury is very important. It's a pollutant of global concern.
Scott Brooks and his team are tracking mercury in East Fork Creek.
6.73.
The creek is highly contaminated. You couldn't eat a fish inside. Protocol requires gloves just to touch the water. Scientifically speaking, algae in the creek transforms mercury into methylmercury. Regularly speaking, that's the harmful kind. Methylmercury increases as it runs up the food chain. That's one reason the FDA only recommends 3 servings of fish a week. Brooks hopes his research will one day be used to treat mercury levels throughout the world. To do that, he'll first have to treat it here.
Our biggest dose of mercury comes from eating contaminated fish.
Teresa Matthews in the Aquatic Ecology Lab captures samples and releases animals back into the same creeks Brooks' team studies. Her team discovered that by removing methylmercury from a body of water, the mercury in fish would revert back to safe levels.
If we get the water concentrations below this certain target, then we might expect to see our fish drop below.
The goal is to capture mercury before it becomes methylmercury. A complex plan, which may take nothing more than a little mussel or clam.
They can change the entire ecosystem.
Both of these cups were filled with algae. 1 hour later, the one with clams is clear. Filter the algae and you've filtered the mercury.
It'll be a multi-pronged solution.
Mussels and clams used to live in this creek. If the next round of experiments goes well, ORNL might reintroduce whichever species of little mollusks absorbs the most mercury to the ecosystem.
It alone is not going to be the solution, but it may be an important part of breaking that cycle of turning mercury into methylmercury.
A step in the right direction. And after a career dedicated to solving this, any step towards a solution makes Brooks happy as, you know. In Oak Ridge, Daniel Sexton, 10 News.
About a year and a half after the fire, you can see clearly a lot of things resprouting.
In the Great Smoky Mountains, the fluorescent green of new growth gives the blackened earth a refreshing recovery. After ferocious winds fanned flames across 10,000 acres of the park in November 2016.
This trail is a really great place to see, what the forest looks like after the fire in the majority of the area that burned.
Fire ecologist Rob Klein with the National Park Service says the fire moved fast and most of it burned fast, without smoldering too deep into the ground.
70% of the wildfire, the forest is only lightly affected and it's going to recover really quickly. So some of the trees do have char on the base of the tree, but what you also see is the resprouting. For a lot of people, in just a couple of years, it'll be hard to tell that an area like this burned. Fires have been really important throughout the southern Appalachians for thousands of years. Most of the species that live in this forest have the ability to resprout following a disturbance like fire.
And some species not only adapted to survive the flames, they grew to rely on them.
It's one of the more interesting stories about this fire, the regeneration of those species that are dependent on fire. In this area, it burned much more severely. As you look up into the trees, you can start to see some of the cones of the Table Mountain pine. Yeah, these trees have developed a unique adaptation with the expectation that there would be fire occurring on a regular basis. These are the cones. They're sealed shut with resin, and they stay in the tree for 10, 20 years, sealed shut. The heat from the fire causes that resin to melt and break down. The cones open up, the seeds start to fall out, The tree has an opportunity to survive that wildfire by reproducing. And that's the strategy of the Table Mountain pine.
The fire opens the ground to sunlight for seeds to spin down and take root.
So they're really adapted to the specific habitat that's created by the wildfire. And there's actually been some concern about these trees over the longer term just due to the lack of fire. We actually started to see them germinating within about 3 or 4 months after the wildfire.
And now hundreds of Table Mountain pine seedlings grow bright green on the fire-scarred ridges of the Smokies.
And you can see how tall they've grown in just over a year and a half. It's going to be an unbelievable transformation over the next 5 to 10 years, and it's going to become a very dense thicket of pine. It says a lot about the tenacity of the plants and trees that live in this area.
All this growth came from a painful experience. Klein says he hopes to learn from it all, with a refresher and a chance to grow with the forest.
We've been putting fires out for a really long time, and we've lost a lot of that knowledge of how they actually operate on this landscape. It gives us an opportunity to kind of relearn some of those lessons so that we can be better prepared for the next time it occurs.
In the Great Smoky Mountains, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.
A mother's love for her child is absolute.
Everybody told me that I would love my child in such a different way that I had ever imagined. And I didn't understand that until she was born.
Say horsey.
Today, Molly Ogle and her 15-month-old daughter Adeline play and laugh together.
Okay.
Each learning how to live their new lives.
We have went through everything together.
It all began behind bars. Molly was an opiate and meth user.
But while I was pregnant with her, I had used drugs up until I was about 6 months pregnant.
Molly spent a portion of her pregnancy in the Blount County Jail, serving time for a drug charge. Coming to terms with an unplanned pregnancy, she knew she had to get clean if she wanted to give birth to a healthy child.
She didn't make that choice. She didn't choose to have that life, but I did. And I needed to be the one to have the repercussions for it. I didn't want her to suffer.
She made the decision to go through detox while still pregnant, turning to Dr. Craig Towers at UT Medical to lead the way.
Hi there. Say hi. No, you're fine.
Frustration became determination for Towers. When he got tired of telling pregnant women they couldn't go to detox, he began searching for an answer as to why it was supposedly unsafe. He found just the opposite.
Research shows that it's not harmful to the fetus while the mom's going through detoxification.
Towers began his research on more than 400 women to compare babies born with NAS to the effects detox has on a child in the womb. Last year, 1 out of every 10 women who delivered babies at UT Medical suffered from opiate use disorder. That's more than 300 children. At any given time, 10 to 40% of the babies in the neonatal intensive care unit are going through treatment for NAS.
This research is showing that it's safer for a mother to go through detox while pregnant as opposed to delivering the baby with NAS.
It's safer for the baby. The controversy on the opposite side is that if a mother tapers and detoxes, what is her risk for relapse, and if she relapses, her risk for overdose.
Towers' research shows babies born drug-dependent have a higher chance of having developmental problems. Still, the symptoms that come with detox are so severe it's challenging for patients to stay clean.
A person who is going through withdrawal can have, uncontrollable diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, stomach pains, night sweats, shivering.
She is a normal child, 100% wild and just full of life, and it makes me so happy because I was so scared.
Molly has been sober for 9 months. Her daughter is her motivation to beat her cravings.
I don't look at either one of us as like victims to addiction or anything like that. We're survivors of addiction, and I say we because she went with it, or she went through it with me.
They've come a long way since they went through detox together, back when Adeline wasn't even born.
The day that you choose to get sober and you choose to turn your life around and realize that you want better for yourself and your child, it's a life like you've never known.
Before dawn,
good morning.
Boarding his bus,
How are you this morning?
Frank takes the wheel.
Okay, guys, we're off.
He's been navigating the streets of Knoxville for 16 years.
Taking care of people. Taking people to where they need to go. That is my job.
Doing it all with a smile and laughter.
It's like a good medicine.
Lots of laughter.
I have a good job. I meet a lot of interesting people.
But the real character is in the driver's seat.
This is the Love Bus. The 31 Magnolia. The Love Bus.
No matter the weather outside,
Mama said there'd be days like this, and we gotta listen to Mama.
Frank is forecasting happiness.
Put on your red dress, baby.
Hoping his transit tunes
'Cause we're going out tonight.
brighten the day of his passengers.
Hopefully I'll get a smile from it. Sometimes I get real strange looks. It's all about how you treat people and how do you treat people the way you want to be treated. Come right on in. How are you this morning?
As the thunder rolls,
might sound strange.
So does the Love Bus.
Wish it would rain. Lord, let it rain.
Delivering passengers to their destinations.
See ya.
With whimsical melodies drawn from above.
You know, you want to know the truth? God. You know, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. And one morning I woke up and it's like he told me, you've got a choice. You know, you can wake up, you can get up, you can be angry, you can be mad, sad. It's a choice. So I choose every morning to be happy.
And even on a dreary day,
you are my sunshine, my only sunshine.
Frank brings sunshine all through the town.
You make me happy when the skies are gray. That's what it's all about. So please don't take my sunshine away.
When I first come in those big steel doors out there, I thought to myself, what have I done? And I literally thought I would die right here at Brushy Mountain Prison.
Robert Gibson is a free man. Got out of prison in 2011, but he had good reason to think he would die here. In the late 1970s, a murder conviction sent him to Brushy with a 99-year sentence, and death lurked around every corner.
The most violent place in Tennessee you could be. I've seen many men stabbed and beat to death right here in this breezeway. Get trapped in here, and somebody on that end where they couldn't get out. You can't get away. If you're a snitch and you run your mouth and those type of things, eventually somebody's gonna get to you.
When Gibson arrived at Brushy, he was 18 years old and illiterate. But he read the situation. He could be predator or prey.
I was wicked, had a wicked heart, wicked mind, wicked thoughts. You see those vents back there? We would take those vents off and make homemade knives out of them.
This institution here is the worst place on earth. They perpetrating murders up here.
You've got people with 150 years.
That's Gibson in 1978, from a WBIR story he never saw in prison, until now.
Wow. Ain't that something? I don't... Hey, now some of these guys right here, and I'm telling you, some dangerous guys now, buddy.
Warden Stoney Lane gave WBIR unprecedented access for a brutally honest look. Life at Brushy, where 3 inmates were recently killed.
And that's certainly 3 too many, but in the type of atmosphere and the type of confinement you have, it's not surprising.
Stoney Lane was one of the best wardens that ever come into Brushy Mountain Prison. Did his job, was the warden, but he treated men like men.
Lane's mutual respect for inmates made him extremely popular. But his replacement, Herman C. Davis, had an unforgiving reputation.
Nobody had no respect for Herman C.
And Gibson says the approach added sparks to an explosive environment. After a couple of years of inmate attacks, paybacks, and building tension, 2 groups were ready to kill each other.
It wound up being kind of a black and white thing, but it wasn't racial. It just happened to be black and white.
The prison sent the black inmates to Nashville to split up the groups. But in 1982, the warden brought the same men back to Brushy.
And put them right in the same unit with us. So there we are. You got a choice. We would cut our bars out. That's where hacksaw's been cutting on that bar. You bend them 2 bars out, you can get a body through there.
Inmates hid the damage to the bars by filling the cuts with soap and paint. Gibson won't say exactly who or how, but someone smuggled a gun inside the prison. And reports at the time say a guard was fired for failing a lie detector test.
You got crooked guards inside the prisons, and money will talk on the outside, money will talk on the inside.
In February 1982, Gibson and 6 others made their move. First, by taking the guards hostage.
You come out on him. You got a knife on him. Where can he go? What can he do?
But the guards were not their target.
Forced the guards to stay down there and tuck their keys, tuck the .25 automatic to the cells of these people. They were shot in their cells.
The black inmates were fish in a barrel. They shot and killed 2 men, then shot 2 others who found a way to survive.
Somebody shooting a .25 automatic at him. Well, he come up with a mattress backwards, and that's the only reason he lived, and I thank God he lived. If Herman C. Davis, if he would have came in, we was going to shoot him, and I thank God he didn't.
And after the shots were fired, the guards were set free and the prisoners surrendered without resistance.
This problem that erupted here Monday night didn't just come up overnight.
Even the guards say the warden knew or should have known that violence was about to occur.
They didn't tell me. If the officers knew, they should have done something about it.
While the warden and the guards were in their own power struggle, Gibson and the others were nicknamed the Magnificent Seven.
It was the first court appearance for the inmates.
This old footage of their first court appearance is damaged, but even with a bad tape, you can see enough to know they were not bothered by murder and kidnapping.
There I am, look at that. BJ, John Henry Brown, they're all dead.
Yeah, that's me, what it is. Oh, you ain't crazy.
That was me. I had a foolish heart, had a wicked heart, and until I met Jesus, that was me. And that's why I always say I deserved every day that I done in prison.
The shooting at Brushy tacked on decades to Gibson's sentence, and he spent the next 4 years in solitary confinement.
So people in prison were saying there's no hope for Robert Gibson. January 5th, 1988, I got born again. Not to get out of prison, but because I was a sinner.
Gibson says most people were skeptical that someone who was an absolute demon was suddenly trying to be an angel.
No, they didn't trust me overnight. They said, just wait on, just hold on, you'll see.
But Gibson learned to read by reading the Bible. And after many years as a model inmate who helped others do the right thing, the state released Gibson in 2011.
I do not deserve to be standing right here today, free in society with no more time. And the only reason that I am is because of Jesus. Only reason that I am. Don't deserve it. Don't deserve it. But he's good. He's a good God.
He still visits the inmates and ministers at the new prison in Morgan County as a man who genuinely changed his life from a violent predator to become a man who prays.
Brushy Mountain has a history. There's been many of them get killed. And I've seen that and experienced that, and don't want no more of it. You know, I've done my time, and I try to give society back positive from where I was negative.
In Morgan County, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.
No smartphone, no computer, no cable. For the next 5 days, I'm homebound without any modern technology except a flip phone, antenna TV, and a couple of cameras to record my experience. I want to know what it's like to live alone and be isolated. There are people who do live like this.
Spend just a few minutes with Alvin and you'll learn.
Oh yeah, I like to talk.
The 89-year-old lives alone in his home. His wife died 10 years ago and his sons live nearby, but he often goes a day without seeing anyone.
I don't go nowhere. I just study more time.
I spoke with Alvin about my 5 days in isolation, not leaving my home and not talking to anyone. My time like that was just an experiment. But Alvin's is his life. According to U.S. Census data, there are more than 90,000 seniors aged 60 and older living in Knox County, and more than 40% of that population lives alone. People like Alvin and Jamie.
Do you ever get lonely?
Yep.
That's where Mobile Meals comes in.
Mobile Meals is probably the #1 way that we're trying to help prevent isolation.
The organization delivers daily meals to about 900 homebound elderly residents across Knox County. About 100 volunteers each day deliver those meals and also check on the recipient's well-being.
It's very important for them to have that interaction, just to know that someone cares for them and they're not alone in their home.
That's what volunteers like Patty and Gary West strive for.
But some really invite you inside and really want to sit down, and because you're the only person they see that day.
I feel like I know him. I don't know his name even.
It's Gary, but that's okay.
It's certainly a pleasure to have him because I'm here by myself most of the time.
Hey buddy, is it dinner time?
Put a face on friendship.
Wake up.
And it would look like this.
Uh-oh.
Kaylee loves cheerleading. Will loves the zoo.
He's taking it.
Almost as much as they both love spending time together.
Let's go see what else is up here.
Not everyone gets to be friends with a cheerleader. But this cheerleader isn't just anyone.
William was diagnosed with autism when he was about 5. He's 19. Academically, he's probably 3. And he's learning every day to be more socially appropriate.
Friends didn't come easily. That started getting to Will.
About 3.5 years ago, we saw a mood shift in William. We tried different things, different sports, different activities, and nothing was just working. My smiley, loving son was leaving us, and we couldn't figure it out. And then we found this.
The play of our national anthem.
Every cheer needs a leader. And when Kaylee met Will, she realized her team needed one more.
It's football time in Anderson County.
Being part of a group is new to Will. Luckily, he's a natural.
He is the ultimate Anderson County High School cheerleader. He cheers for every team, sometimes the opposing team.
I feel really proud, happy. I mean, just seeing them down there, not in sync, not doing any moves they're doing, but those girls could care less. I mean, it's awesome.
Will's team on the field became his friends everywhere. From practice to parties, even prom dates, the team wants Will around.
Come see it for yourself, because this is not a one-time for TV thing. This is our lives. We love Will.
It's incredible, like, how he makes you feel.
These girls bring out the best in Will, and he teaches them what class can't.
The impact that he's had on my heart is something I never thought possible, and to think that I've had that impact on him is an honor. And I think that that's something that everyone needs to know too, is you can have that impact on somebody.
Not everyone gets to be friends with a cheerleader.
Hi, look at her smile.
But everyone could use a leader like Will. In Anderson County, Daniel Sexton, 10 News.
A Tuesday night at Halls Middle School. Another shot at victory.
If she would just take it one more step to the basket.
And girls basketball coach Richard Lee is already making his own points.
Set the screen, roll off the screen, and go to the basket.
He coaches with fiery passion.
She walked way before that.
And undeniable purpose.
Settle down. Hey, we're a long way from being done.
Unfortunately, he knows that lesson all too well. In October, just as basketball season was tipping off, Coach Lee was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Of course, it hit you like a ton of bricks.
His first question to the doctors?
Can I still coach? It's the first thing I said. And he said, yeah, as long as you feel like you can do it, you can do it.
Chemotherapy took its toll on the body, but not the soul.
And I said, I'm going to beat this. I'm not going to sit around and mope and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to do everything I can to beat it.
And incredibly, despite lingering weakness and severe nausea,
I missed one day of practice. I was sick one day, and that's the only day I missed. And I'd promised him I'd be there, so I just wanted to fulfill that promise.
I think the girls realized that, hey, there is more to life than basketball.
He's going through something so hard that don't ever give up. Don't stop doing what you love.
Good game, ladies. Good game. Good game. Good game.
And on this night, when the final regular season game came to a close, the emotions were just beginning.
Oh, I love you guys. Love you.
And the coach, who prides himself on preparation, had no idea what was coming next. A monetary gift from students, teachers, administrators, and parents to help with his upcoming surgery.
Beyond amazed at the giving that the school did. It was beyond anything I could ever have dreamed or hoped for, and way more than they should have ever done.
Just seeing his face light up, giving him that gift, it meant everything to us.
And the purple that both teams were wearing was in honor of him. And as he's done for years, Coach Lee gave all the credit to his players.
Hey, I love every one of you. And to Joe, I see it in your eyes. I love you. Lakin, Kendall, Jason, everybody. You all are wonderful. Hey, you kept me going.
He lives for today, but he has hope for tomorrow.
The future is very bright here at Halls Middle. Very bright.
Russell Biven, 10 News.
I got a box of film that I purchased back in early 70s. And I was going to try to watch some of the films, but projector I couldn't get to work. I never did open them again. Started to throw it away, but just something in the back of my mind said this will mean something to someone.
Oh my goodness. That is old film, stuck in a can all of these years. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this. It's a miracle. Beautiful footage.
We couldn't believe what we were seeing. Incredible shots that no one else has.
This hidden treasure, colored movies of the Smokies, it was almost like time travel.
And there it is. You see Knoxville in 1939.
Downtown footage with the snow is really beautiful.
Robinson's Mill.
The Orange Bowl, amazing.
Movie stars, he wasn't your average home movie maker.
He was a TVA photographer.
Marking the Appalachian Trail.
Granville Hunt.
Granville Hunt.
So getting to look over Granville Hunt's shoulder.
My father was Granville Hunt. So important to all of my family.
I'm just so thankful I didn't throw it away.
It's a window in time that sets up our time.
History measures the blizzard of '93 in many ways. 70-mile-an-hour winds, several feet of snow, and tens of thousands of power outages. But the storm of the century is also measured in months, 9 of them.
I found out I was pregnant, and I went back and I went, wow, this was the night of the blizzard.
Jay and Lisa Blevins were snowed in, and they stayed warm. Baby, it was cold outside all across East Tennessee, where people may not have had power, but there was still plenty of electricity.
We knew that we saw the effects of the blizzard.
Leslie Franham and the nurses at UT Medical Center saw the blizzard baby boom firsthand. Hospitals all across East Tennessee reported nearly double the amount of deliveries of a normal December.
Yes, we were definitely a lot busier than usual during that time.
I mean, there were so many babies being born, they didn't have enough rooms for the moms.
When the blizzard happened, the nurses were like counting up 40 weeks from then because they wanted to know when there was going to be so many babies.
Blizzard came, and he's a result of it, and he's an early Christmas present.
This is the onesie I was wearing the hospital gave me. I'm Daniel Blevins, and I'm a blizzard baby. I can't believe it just made me say that.
No, he's not a baby. He is 6'3", 220 pounds.
I don't really tell the story too often. That's not the first thing I go and tell somebody, obviously.
And despite Daniel's best efforts, that blizzard baby nickname remains frozen in time.
He played some college football at Maryville College, and the coaches got word of him being a blizzard baby.
All my football coaches call me Blizzard. Not Daniel Blevins, it's a Blizzard. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people think, oh, he was born in the blizzard. I was like, no, he was made in the blizzard. And then, you know, my dad likes to make weird comments about it. He doesn't like it. Oh my gosh, when is this ever going to end? Is what he says. But he's a good sport about it.
So, I mean, it's a cool story. Appreciate you guys just coming out here and covering it and being...
No, you don't.
I'm just trying to be nice.
So any measure of the blizzard of '93 has to include an avalanche of babies. that ensure the storm of the century will last a lifetime.
Blizzard baby. You know, this is our blizzard baby.
In Blount County, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.
Less than 2 hours from when Billy Ray Irick is scheduled to die.
I think that justice has been done, finally, and that we waited too many years to do it.
Why the judge who presided over the original case says the only justice for Irick is putting him to death.
Very outgoing and very friendly. She never met a stranger.
How the family of his victim, 7-year-old Paula Dyer, is remembering her life today and what they hope to gain from Irick's death.
Plus, we're learning more about rocks thrown at cars on Interstate 40, why authorities say it's a tough case to investigate.
I don't think people realize how easy it is for a scam artist just to take those barcodes and sell them on a legitimate site.
Stealing your football game tickets might not be that hard. How thieves can use a picture to take your seats.
10 News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Harper Auto Square. WBIR 10 News starts now.
We are about 2 hours away from the time Billy Ray Irick is set to die. His execution will take place here at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution in Nashville. This after the U.S. Supreme Court said it will not intervene in the case. I'm Robin Wilhoit live in front of Riverbend, where outside it is relatively quiet. You have media set up to cover the execution, but inside this facility there's been a flurry of activity as prison officials prepare for the 8 o'clock execution of Billy Ray Irick. Irick was sentenced to death back in 1986 for the murder and rape of 7-year-old Paula Dyer. He babysat Paula and her brothers who were home the night she was killed. If he is executed tonight, he will be the state's first to die by lethal injection here since 2009. Irick has been on death row now for 32 years. The original judge in the case, Jimmy Duncan, we had the opportunity to speak with him. He, of course, went on to serve in Congress for 3 decades, but we talked to him today about this case and this execution. Here's 10 News reporter Mark Salinger.
It's been 32 years since Billy Ray Irick walked into Judge Jimmy Duncan's courtroom.
I think that justice has been done, finally, and that we waited too many years to do it.
32 years since a jury found him guilty of raping and murdering 7-year-old Paula Dyer. More than 3 decades later, now Congressman Jimmy Duncan says it's time for Irick to die.
I've never lost any sleep over it. I can tell you this, I'm satisfied that he was given every right that he was entitled to, and the poor little girl wasn't given any kind of life at all. Her life was just taken away from her.
In his 7.5 years on the bench, Judge Duncan presided over more than 10,000 cases. He says Irick's case was one of the most gruesome he ever saw.
It has to be a horrible, terrible case to get a jury to hand a death sentence down. And the jury did that in this case, and I agreed with him.
Irick was sentenced in 1986. Duncan says 32 years is far too long for the convicted killer to wait on death row.
I hope the day will come when we can do these things much quicker and we don't allow people to appeal for 30 or 32 years.
Tonight, Duncan's focus will be on justice for 7-year-old Paula Dyer.
The victim, of course, had the worst possible thing happen to her. Her life was snuffed out. This man's had 32 extra years of living.
Irick made her suffer, Duncan says. Tonight,
if he has to go through a little pain, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for that.
He'll finally face the ultimate punishment. Mark Salinger, WBIR 10 News.
And Congressman Duncan tells us that he did confer with Governor Bill Haslam about the case. He wanted perspective, basically wanting to focus on just how many times this case had been tried in different courts. Once again, the Supreme Court of the United States says it will not stay Billy Ray Irick's execution. Justice Elena Kagan denied his attorney's request, but did not say why. In the dissenting opinion, fellow Justice Sonia Sotomayor said lethal injection is an unproven method of execution. She believes Irick will feel significant pain. Now, earlier this week, both Governor Bill Haslam and the state Supreme Court said they would not intervene in his death. Now, Catholic bishops of the diocese, both here in Nashville and in Knoxville, released a statement strongly opposing Irick's execution. It says, in part, "We join to voice our strong objection to the execution of Billy Ray Irick, even though his brutal rape and murder of 7-year-old Paula Dyer is among the most heinous of crimes." The bishops went on to say, "We echo the words of Pope Francis, who recently declared as definitive teaching that, in light of the gospel, the death penalty is unacceptable in all cases." There will be a number of people here at Riverbend to witness the execution of Billy Ray Irick, among them the mother of Paula Dyer. I bring in now my colleague, Leslie Ackerson. Leslie, her family and many others focusing on the 7-year-old little girl who died in 1985.
That's right, decades ago, Robin. And that's really what the family is focusing on. They want people to remember why Irick is on death row. They say Paula Dyer was this bubbly, outgoing, friendly little girl. And they believe that Billy Ray Irick deserves to die because he took her life.
There was this woman that lived next door to us. Paula picked flowers and walked over and introduced herself and said, "Can we be friends?" That was what she was like. She was 7 years old, raped, sodomized, and strangled to death. I'm sorry, I feel nothing for his panic attacks or his pain. Nothing at all. God forgive me, but I don't.
Paula's mother says the execution may never end her family's pain or suffering, but she does want closure and again wants people to remember why this is all happening today and, you know, those decades that they didn't have with their daughter growing up, the memories that they didn't get to make with her, Robin.
Yeah, you say decades, 3 decades, as a matter of fact, with the crime, of course, happening in 1985. In that 3 decades, Billy Ray Irick has spent much of it here at Riverbend, and so many people question why this has taken so long for this case to finally come to this, to today. And a defense attorney says it is important for all of us to know why, and that's to make sure it isn't cruel or unusual.
And if we don't protect the rights and the liberties and the respect for humanity of the people who it's easiest to diminish those rights and diminish that humanity in, the people who are convicted of crimes, even horrific crimes, then it becomes easier to do that for all of us.
The U.S. and Tennessee constitutions prohibit cruel and unusual punishment. Irick's attorneys say the drugs tonight are illegal because of that, but the state Supreme Court disagrees. We will have a witness, a representative from Channel 10, who will be witnessing the execution tonight, my colleague John North, as will 6 other media witnesses. They'll be in the room along with Irick's attorney, Knox County Sheriff J.J. Jones, and a Deputy Attorney General. And again, Paula Dyer's mother, Kathy Jeffers, will also be there to witness the murder, the death by lethal injection of the man who murdered her daughter back in 1985, Billy Ray Irick. For now, John, we will send it back to you with much more coverage coming throughout the night.
Robin Wilhort anchoring our coverage tonight from Nashville. Again, Billy Ray Irick is set to die at 8 o'clock tonight, and we will certainly bring you team coverage of what happens throughout the evening. You can read more about his crime and hear from the victim's mother right now at WBIR.com. And we move to a new round of storms that did knock out power to several thousand people in East Tennessee. Most of us saw some showers, many of them heavy rain showers. We turn now to Chief Meteorologist Todd Howe with more on what we're seeing outside in the radar, Todd.
Yeah, look at what's happening in Sevierville right now. Heavy rain and thunderstorms. Drive carefully in Sevier County. This is the Parkway view, and we switch gears now to Alcoa Highway. Wet streets as showers and scattered storms once again this afternoon. Moving across the region, the temperature in Knoxville has cooled down to 71 degrees. It's very muggy and humid. Again, scattered thunder showers, wet streets. Watch for high water. Strongest storms moving east of Knoxville into northern Sevier County. And from Seymour, Kodak down towards Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Dollywood, and Gatlinburg. And light to moderate rains continue from Knoxville down toward Lenoir City and Maryville. There's a look at some of those storms, again, just in the last hour into Sevier County. That's what we saw on the Parkway live camera there. A chance for scattered thunder showers generally between now and about 8 p.m. and then everything improving later tonight with some patch areas of fog. Coming up, we'll talk about our rain chances for Friday and look ahead to perhaps an improving forecast for the start of the weekend, John.
Todd, thanks very much. La Follette police now say they will present their investigation to a grand jury following the shooting death of a 9-year-old girl. Police say her 10-year-old brother accidentally shot and killed her outside a restaurant last night. 10 News reporter Shannon Smith joins us with the very latest in this case. Shannon.
John, La Follette police say while sitting in a car together yesterday, the 10-year-old boy got a hold of a gun. They say he accidentally shot his 9-year-old sister, who later died at UT Medical Center. La Follette police met with the Campbell County District Attorney today to discuss what comes next. They say they'll be taking the case before the Campbell County grand jury. Richard Bean, the superintendent of the Richard L. Bean Juvenile Detention Center here in Knoxville, says he's seen cases like this in the past, and he discussed who could face charges in the case.
Somebody will probably get charged, but it's kind of hard to bring a 10-year-old in and charge him, and I mean, what do you do?
Follette police say that grand jury is scheduled to meet on September 12th. Police are not releasing names of the people involved because of their ages. John.
Shannon Smith with the update. Tennessee troopers are investigating 15 cases where rocks were thrown at cars on I-40 East in Roane County. A string of reports unfolded last month, and 10 News reporter Gabrielle Hayes joins us with more from drivers with serious concerns. Gabrielle.
That's right, John. Since July 19th, THP has reported 15 cars damaged by rocks near the Buttermilk Road exit. It's now encouraging drivers to be cautious, especially at night. I spoke to one mom who says she travels I-40 almost every day and isn't thrilled about the risk.
Amy Simpkins says driving down I-40 is a regular part of her routine.
Probably between 3 to 5 times a week.
She says recent news about rocks being thrown over overpasses along the highway in Roane County worries her because she's more than just a driver.
As a parent, I have 3 small kids and they're always in the car with me.
Since July 19th, THP has reported 15 cars damaged by rocks in between mile markers 362 and 366. That's near the Buttermilk Road exit. An investigation is ongoing, but THP says it's difficult to solve these kinds of cases unless someone comes forward or sees something. Simpkins agrees.
I think the best thing that we can hope for is that somebody actually has like a camera on their car and can catch surveillance, because yeah, exactly, you're driving over an underpass at 65, 70, you're not going to be like, oh look, there's a person.
Simpkins says her husband spends a lot of time on the road too, making highway safety that much more important for her family.
My husband's also a truck driver. He risks his life every day. He doesn't need the added risk on top of it, I think.
In the meantime, THP encourages people to use caution when driving in these areas, especially after dark.
Driving a car is dangerous enough. We don't need people throwing rocks at our cars and making it that much more so,
In Roane County, Gabrielle Hayes, 10 News.
Metropolitan Planning Commission won't make a decision about the Tools Bend Road development in southwest Knox County until September. That proposed development is located in southwest Knox County. It is off Pellissippi Parkway between the airport and Turkey Creek. Developers say the area will have almost 700 units on 415 acres. Neighbors are concerned about more traffic in the area. Lots of them showed up today at the Metro Planning Commission meeting wearing yellow shirts to show their opposition. The proposal was set to go before MPC, but it delayed action until the next meeting on September 13th as more traffic studies are finished. You may be tempted to post those new season football tickets online, but experts say don't do it. The one thing criminals need to see to steal that seat. Also, Billy Bob Thornton, actor and musician in town, what he's doing in East Tennessee and why he loves visiting the volunteer state.
Another day of storms this Thursday afternoon, now early evening. Scattered showers and thunderstorms making their way across East Tennessee. The heaviest is past Knoxville, but strong storms with heavy rain and frequent lightning in Sevier County. Move indoors. Back with a look at radar, your Friday and weekend forecast coming up next.
Right back to the forecast, which includes lots of rain showers, at least this afternoon time.
Yeah, raining outside the station right now. That's why we are inside, certainly. Hope you're having a good, safe Thursday. Let's take a look at today's almanac. 86, the high temperature after a low of 68. The average high, 88. The average low, 69. So close to average, just a smidge below. Now, rainfall up to the minute. Updated rainfall at McGee-Tyson Airport, just under a ½ inch, 41 100ths. Another day of storms, and some of these were intense a little bit later this afternoon compared to yesterday's earlier arrival, and not quite as intense today compared to what we saw yesterday. Nonetheless, This is what you're dealing with right now in Sevierville. On the Parkway, wet streets, again, as heavier showers and some thunderstorms moving by. Some of the intensity starting to slowly wind down. The heaviest of the rain and thunderstorms is past Knoxville and Alcoa Highway, but residual showers remain, so certainly drive carefully, as here we are just after 6:15 now. And this is a live view. We're seeing the rain toward Knoxville, the wet streets, 71 degrees, currently winds south-southwest 10 miles per hour. Pressure has been falling, now slowly rising. High dew point 70 degrees, high humidity 96%. So once again, a few more hours, maybe another hour or two of some scattered thunder showers up to about 8 o'clock most areas, although again they're moving off to the east. Then expect fog to develop overnight as we'll start to gradually clear back out and dry back out later this evening. That's your forecast as we head through the overnight. Little cluster of thunder showers around Nashville and moving to the east-northeast. Thunderstorms today arcing off to the east-southeast, and more of these diving off into North Carolina and upstate South Carolina. There's a look at the cluster of thunder showers. Heaviest right now, Sevier County. We are seeing that line of showers, light to moderate rain, La Follette, right through Knoxville, near Murrow, and on down toward Tellico Plains. Citico Beach and Tallahassee. Back to the west, some light rain in Rockwood, Wartburg, Spring City, Crossville. You're seeing clouds upper 60s, somewhat coolish. They feel pretty good right now after seeing the storms earlier in Cumberland County around Crossville. Again, most of that light rain just about to taper off. That's a current check of Skywatch 10 radar. Scattered storms, though, rocking and rolling around Morristown, Dandridge, Pigeon Forge, and so moving into upper East Tennessee. Here's the last 2 hours. So you're now starting to see those thunderstorms between Morristown and also Bean Station, and coming out of Hawkins County, Hamlin County, and diving east-southeast toward Greene County. So heads up in the Lakeway area, Cherokee Lake, Douglas Lake, some storms moving toward Cott County and Newport as well, and along Douglas Lake. There's the movement of those thunder showers east-southeast. There's a look at the light to moderate rain. Yellow colors is moderate rain here. Green is lighter rain. And there's a look at our high-res model between now and 8 p.m. Those scattered showers, a few isolated storms early, moving out, drying as we go later on tonight. So here's a look at your Friday forecast. Patchy fog early, but scattered showers later tomorrow morning, and some spotty storms are possible Friday afternoon. Not going to see quite the coverage tomorrow, but still a little unsettled for your Friday. Looking ahead to the weekend, Saturday looks to be a little bit drier overall, at least less chances for those thunder showers. So again, early evening thunder showers tonight, a chance for some scattered showers, a few isolated storms Friday, and then gradually improving as we get into the start of the weekend Saturday. All right, there's your forecast. 69 tonight. Watch out for the fog overnight and in the morning. 83 for your Friday. Another chance for scattered thunder showers, but less chances Saturday. A few more spotty storms mid-80s Sunday.
Todd, thanks for the update.
You're welcome, John.
Actor and musician Billy Bob Thornton and the Boxmasters are in downtown Knoxville, dodging raindrops. The rock and roll band is the headliner at Music Feeds, a concert that is a series of them for Second Harvest Food Bank. The group is no stranger to East Tennessee. They played in Pigeon Forge last year and say they love coming to this music hotspot.
I have just spent a lot of time in Tennessee over the years. We've all done our stretches in Nashville and Memphis, especially for me, because I grew up not far from Memphis, and I always loved that area because of the rich musical history. Steve Miller.
This is the band's first time playing at the amphitheater at World's Fair Park. Gates are open now. Show starts at 7:30. Experts say it is easy for criminals to steal your football tickets from just one picture. One piece of your ticket you should always cover up if you share them online.
The Heartland series.
It's a good two-legged dog story.
Their service and sacrifice.
Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
And finally, it's almost football time in East Tennessee. And are you keeping your tickets safe from scammers? That's a question you'll want to explore with this report from Stephanie Haynes.
Football season is here, and you're so excited that you've got to post a picture of your tickets on social media. Jeez. But is this really how your ticket can get ripped off? Hey!
It's that simple.
People at the ticket office say scammers can replicate the entire ticket, but what they're really after is the barcode.
And that's what the UT Athletics office is reminding Vols fans this season. This is this year's season ticket PSA.
If you're going to show your photos on social media, which we absolutely love your support, make sure you cover up your barcodes.
I don't think people realize how easy it is for a scam artist just to take those barcodes and sell them on a legitimate site.
Joe Arnunn works in ticket operations and says those sites include StubHub, Ticketmaster, and even UT's own partner, Vivid Seats.
They don't actually physically need the ticket, they don't need the seat location, they just need the barcode numbers. And that barcode will go into the system as a valid barcode and they could sell the tickets.
He said this happens every year. He recalls one man bought his tickets on a secondary site and got scammed.
And I said to him, did you put these tickets up on social media at any time? Vehemently denied that he ever did. Monday, he called to apologize because his wife did have them up on Facebook.
He also says don't buy your tickets from someone you don't know. 2 years ago, dozens of fake tickets were reported at the Alabama and Florida games.
You're not going to be able to tell the difference between the counterfeit ticket and the real ticket because those people are professional thieves.
So the next time you want to show your volunteer spirit, post like this with the barcodes blacked out. Stephanie Haynes, WBIR 10 News.
The ticket office does say if you get scammed through Vivid Seats, they can try to trace how it happened. A reminder, the Vols kick off the season September 1st against West Virginia in Charlotte. That game is set for 3:30, and Tennessee's first home opener is September 8th against ETSU. And we want to remind you of our coverage continuing tonight, a live look from Riverbend Maximum Security Institution in Nashville. That is where the state is set to execute inmate Billy Ray Irick in about an hour and a half. You can find full details of the case on our website, WBIR.com, including an in-depth story with victim Paula Dyer's family and a timeline of the legal process. All online at WBIR.com, and 10 News will have a witness in the execution room tonight. Again, it is set for 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll bring you more live coverage from Nashville throughout the night here on Channel 10 and all of our social media outlets. Again, Todd and I appreciate you watching tonight. For more local news, we'll see you in 2 minutes over on Fox 43. NBC Nightly News is coming up next, and we hope to see you back here for the Night Beat.